You should start.
Okay.
We already got so many participants, 32 participants.
Yeah, there is a very strong registration. Obviously,
Yes, sir.
This is a issue not only of importance, but also a pain point. So I think everybody needs to understand.
Yes, immediately opening the session, we got 78 participants immediately at 3:1. Sorry. Sir, you are on mute. Sir, you are on mute.
Good afternoon, Anand Kumar ji.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
Yeah, nice to see you here, sir. Thank you for joining.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes,
Yes,
very
sir.
clear.
Okay.
Very clear. This is definitely a very important subject, and within 2 minutes of opening the session, we have 90 participants, in addition to the
Great, sir.
speakers.
Great.
So, which is very nice. I think, sir, this is a important subject. So we are very happy that we are starting this. So as I think the webinar is now on formally, let me in one sentence, welcome everyone and thank all of you, especially CPCB for taking this initiative and for bringing us on board. And I'm sure this will be a very interesting session, and maybe we will need a few more in the coming months to spread this message far and wide. Because I think the rules that you have made, Anand Kumar ji, are quite stringent. So we need to help the industry to also comply with them, which we will do, of course, jointly. So we are all very positive about it. I now request, welcome Mr. Sanjay Agarwal, our president, of ELCINA and managing director of Globe Capacitors, and request him to, Sanjay ji, can you, kindly open the seminar for us and, give your welcome speech to all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rajuji. Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to all colleagues and industry participants to this important webinar on e-waste management rules of 2022. ELCINA feels privileged to partner with CPCB, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, for disseminating information on this critical subject, which is of great importance to all of us. I welcome our honored guest, Dr. Prashant Gargava, Member Secretary CPCB, Dr. Sandeep Chatterjee, Group Coordinator MIT, Shri B. Vinod Babu, Director CPCB, Shri Anand Kumar, Director CPCB, for gracing this honor and gracing this webinar and guiding the industry for the steps ahead. The implication of these rules are very significant for electronic manufacturers as well as users. And we need to ensure that these are understood well and are implemented in letter and spirit. The participation of top officials and experts from the government is most heartening to us and valuable to the industry. With our inputs and guidance, the industry should be able to successfully comply with these regulations and create a sustainable ecosystem. I also thank industry colleagues Ms. Ritu Ghosh from Panasonic Life Sciences and Shri Ashish Pandey from Luminous Power Tech for their participation and sharing their views on preparedness of our industry on management of e-waste and sharing the industry perspective. To the best of my understanding, these new rules, which are replacing the erstwhile e-waste management rules of 2016, are more stringent, but they are required if we are committed to protecting our environment. We are all aware that the primary object of the rules is to bring down the use of hazardous substances such as lead, mercury, and cadmium in manufacturing of electrical and electronic equipment that have an adverse impact on human health and the environment. The government has taken a number of steps to formalize the e-waste recycling sector of the country, and new rules provide for compulsory authorization of the dismantling and recycling units from the concerned state pollution boards. On behalf of ELCINA's executive committee, I convey my satisfaction that we are taking this initiative for the benefit of the industry and for our country, and wish the webinar and all participants a great success. A very warm welcome to you all. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sanjay ji. Thank you so much. With that, we can now start the proceedings of the webinar. Of course, we are first going to have Mr. Vinod Babu. I think Mr. Babu is just joining.
He's joining. He's joining.
Yeah, he will just be joining. Yeah. And he will be speaking to us about the theme of the project Life, I think, which has been launched by CPCB. This is basically for lifestyle for environment. I think that is the message that Life is conveying. Is that correct, Anand Kumar ji?
Yes, yes. Actually, this is a mission launched by the Honorable Prime Minister, and that we should change our lifestyle so that minimize the waste generation and help the environment.
Definitely, sir. Definitely. I think this is a very nice theme, and the focus is 100% on the environment. If Mr. Vinod Babu, good afternoon, sir. If you are ready, may I open the floor for you to please speak about Life and this and the theme of the project.
Yeah, good afternoon, distinguished delegates here. Thank you all for the invitation. Today, as Mr. Anand has told, this is about life, a lifestyle for environment. This is a scheme launched by Honorable Prime Minister. Life means lifestyle for environment. So lifestyle for environment, Prime Minister talks about you conduct a lifestyle in a manner that you are saving the environment. Okay, that is a basic principle of it. So the objective is to make this lifestyle life program at par with other Swachh Bharat Abhiyan like program, to make this movement, make it a mass movement, so that to bring an environmental consciousness among the citizens of this country. So you change your lifestyles to bring environmental consciousness in your lifestyles, so that the deeds you are doing are environment friendly. So there is a meaning. So this is also talks about transitioning from the throwaway economy to circular economy is one of the fundamentals of this life program, life mission. So this life mission talks about 7 thematic areas. These 7 thematic areas are energy saved, water saved, single-use plastics, the lifestyles associated with the use of plastics and use of alternative plastics, how you change your lifestyles to not to use plastic in packaging or minimize packaging, and also sustainable consumption of food. Okay, then not to waste food. So waste consumption of food is related to so many downstream activities, like agricultural product and the consumption of electricity involved, consumption of fertilizers involved. Ultimately, the food is wasted. So we are, as a result, we are losing our resources. Okay, this is one of the areas. Food. Then is waste reduced. Okay, we have to take Swachhata actions so that waste is minimized in our practices. Okay, may it be a packaging, may it be a food waste, may it be a stationery. Okay, so the waste should be minimized. Okay, this is the one objective. And adoption of lifestyles. Adoption of the lifestyles means it is a campaign in itself. It takes years to bring the behavioral changes and make the people, ordinary citizen, aware of the lifestyle changes towards the better environment, towards the conservation of resources. See, the lifestyles are linked to conservation of resources, primary resources in the country, and also the production of environment. Okay, this is also linked to lifestyle adaptations. So one of the other important, the seventh theme is that reduce e-waste. So we are going into in a generation of information technology era, we are moved. And many of the actions, many of our functions are related to IT and the IT related equipments. Use of IT related equipments is ever increasing. So that's why this is brought along with the plastics. E-waste is also introduced in the thematic area of this LIFE program. So our this program is aimed at bringing in awareness among the industry, among the stakeholders, among the public, among the institutions, among the state and central governments, among the local bodies. That has to be percolated down to all the areas. So first of all, the life primarily comes from the principles of sustainable lifestyles. Okay, sustainable lifestyles talks about certain actions and certain consumptions used by people. So these actions and consumptions by a particular people are dependent on the individual characteristics, right? There is no defined. Some people tend to use certain things for longer duration. Some people use for lesser duration. So there are certain way of human behavior comes in. Even if you take an electronic goods, some people tend to change the mobiles, showing their appliances very quickly. A new model come, I will get it. They don't feel like using it for extended durations. There's a human behavioral factor introduced here. So this is so sustainable lifestyles is adoption of sustainable lifestyles. Lifestyles talks about these type of behavioral patterns. So it doesn't change immediately for a period of time. We always wanted the material to be in the life cycle for extended use. That is an objective. And also, what are the basic needs for sustenance of life? Okay, you have certain functions of your life, like you use certain quantity of water for taking bathing. You use certain kind of a transport to reach your office. You have certain way of consuming the material. So material consumption also part of the lifestyle. So now if you go to the Europe and some other cities, South Asian countries, you see that people tend to go towards cycling to the offices. So by you're saving a lot of fuel, your energy is consumed, and health is another added benefit. This is also calls for a sustainable life cycle. So as an individual, you can contribute to our resource conservation, energy conservation, and also it is benefiting our future generation by you are conserving the natural resources which are limited. We all know that. So this is one thing, and also very often our sustainable lifestyles are linked to our socio-economic, cultural, and natural and economical heritage of the society. If you look at Indian culture, we have a kabaddi culture. We have always never throw waste. We also look for a value in the waste. It is in our life cycles, our culture. So our culture itself supports the sustainable lifestyles to some degree. So we have the added benefit of our culture and behavioral practices, cultural practices, economic practices already supporting the lifestyles. But only thing is that we have to think in a systematic manner, and we have to work bring awareness, bring education in such a manner, bring the practices in such a manner, in organized manner, so that the goals of life for environment is achieved. This is the main requirement. So in which today our main subject is life for environment, now with a special focus on e-waste and consumption of EEE, electronic equipment. How as a producer of EEE, a manufacturer can look into how their material stays for longer durations and used for long durations, and consumption of material is reduced. That is the one thing. And also as a producer, there is a possibility of educating your consumers on the behaviors of life, practices of life in line with the mission objectives. So I would all request you to go to Government of GOI website on life. So the theme is given. So you have to please follow it. And these are some of the ideas that come into my mind about when we talk about the electronic waste. So, sustainable lifestyles also talks about the circularity, as I said. In the circularity, we have to shifting from the throwaway economy to circular economy. So here also we already practicing the EPR. EPR is one of the thing, and more you targets achieved, more the EPR targets are achieved, and better the EPR compliance. So this is possible when the generator of the e-waste, means the users, gets the education on life that will lead to easier compliance to the targets. So as one of the important stakeholders, producer is not the only stakeholder. The manufacturers of EEE are not the only stakeholders. There are various stakeholders. The most important is the consumer, is the main stakeholder. We have to practice it. As an institution and an organization, as a regulator, CPCB and SPCBs, as an industry, as an institution, we can play such a role as a leadership role so that the message can percolate down. So this is an objective of this. With this initial remarks, I would thank Mr. Anandji and his team. And also I thank you all on behalf of our member secretary, CPCB, for coming to this program, and we are for discussing this theme live. With these words, I am stopping here. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Babu. I think this is a excellent theme, in the sense that I think this is something which can be spread far and wide, and even more than the industry. I think this needs to go to the user. So when the user is buying something which is manufactured by the industry, they have to be aware. They have to be aware. So I think this is great, sir. Thank you so much. Anand Kumarji, what I would request is that
Dr. Chatterjee is joining.
Achha, okay.
He's joining. He's joining.
Okay, so if Dr. Chatterjee is joining, then that's very nice. So what we will do, that in between, we will take out a 10-minute session. We have two e-waste industry experts with us, Mr. Praveen Bhargav from Pegasus Waste Management and Mr. A.L.N. Rao from Exigo Recycling.
Okay.
So we would request them also. I think it will be important that we give them 10 minutes of time, and they can share the views of the recycling industry, because what these e-waste rules mean for recyclers and how they have to comply, and how they have to kind of enhance their setup and etc. So before that, I think if Dr. Chatterjee is joining now, then we will first invite Dr. Chatterjee to speak, and after that, then I would request either the member secretary can speak first, and then
then we will have member secretary inaugural speech, and then we can move to the discussion with Mr. Bhargav and Mr. Rao.
Sure, please. Yeah.
Welcome, Dr. Chatterjee.
Yeah. I think Dr. Chatterjee has joined already.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. Chatterjee, and thank you very much for making it.
Thank you.
Dr. Chatterjee, Sandeepji, I must also congratulate you on taking over as group coordinator, and but आपने बुला के चाय नहीं पिलाई. I am going to.
टाइम नहीं है, मैं तो अभी लंच भी नहीं किया, मैं अभी तो सेक्रेटरी के पास था.
Okay. Then I have all my sympathies with you, but we are very happy, sir. We are very happy. I think it is something which is well deserved, and it is good for the industry and for MIT, both, for all of us.
Yes.
So, sir, over to you, please. Over to you for your talk on the MIT initiatives.
Thank you, ELCINA and CPCB. Is a very important engagement with the stakeholders to understand the new rule and how the rule has been changed after the circular economy action plan has been drafted by our Ministry of Environment and Forest, and CPCB in close coordination. As we all know that if you are only talking about the end of life management of electronic products, because every day we are using some part of the electronics, you cannot name any sectors where the electronics are not being used. So this is good that India has started thinking in a circular manner or circular economy. So end of life as well as the downstream and upstream, both the parts is important. And we understand that there are many multinationals companies are manufacturing or their product here. They have already taken care of the green part of the design as well as the recyclability of the design part and also the refurbishment. So our ministry are typically initially engage in technology development, so that the precious metal extraction can be done in the country. So we have done some of the indigenous technology on printed circuit board, lithium ion battery, WEEE plastics, and also very recently PV solar panel and spent magnet. So apart from that, we are also engaged the skill development is very important. Exigo is there. We are also working with Exigo. Thank you, Dr. Rao. We have 3 different skill development program. CPCB is also reviewing those projects. They are the part of that activity, because if you are really talking about the recycling, so the skilled manpower is very important. So we have initiated from a Northeast, where the 8 Northeast state we have developed skilled manpower so that we can create the entrepreneurs in those 8 states. And also last 2 years back, we have initiated a similar program in Punjab University for Punjab State, Haryana and Chandigarh, where Exigo is also our industry partner. And another project in CMAT Hyderabad, where Telangana and Andhra we are covering for skill development program. And we are happy to mention here that NSQL has approved our course content. Of course, that course developed by 21 products. Now CPCB come out, or the other MoEF has come out with this 106 products. So we'll be making the course curriculum for all the electronic products or electrical products has been mentioned in the rule. So this is one part. Another is awareness program. Of course, the EPR is encouraging the manufacturers to do the awareness, pan-India awareness, unless we are doing the sustained level awareness. So formalization of the informal would be difficult. So material leakages cannot be addressed. So this is required a sustained program. So METI is interested if the industry association are come up with certain project, so we can support for the content development and other logistics, so that this can be done in a sustainable manner. So very recently, I can mention that apart from whatever we have done already, we have come out with a one program for creating clusters around the country. There are 30 clusters will be created in the using informal sectors, because this is a very unique program where informal operators will be trained first, or their skills should be upgraded. Then we'll be using the indigenous technology we have developed already in some of the labs. So we'll be handholding them. And MSME scheme, CDF scheme we are using for creating the clusters. So the financial support for creating those clusters will be availing from MSME. So this is a unique program. So 30 such clusters in 30 states will be creating, so that actual recycling of extraction of the precious metal can be availed. Supported to that 30 cluster will be coming up another 300 micro factories, which will be actually a feeder for these 30 clusters. So that will be actually dismantling and segregation center should be attached to this 30 cluster or any other authorized recycler. We know that dismantler and segregator is not available in the from 1st of April. So they should be converted to the recycler, or they should be there is no other way they can manage this work. But this is one of the important part. If you are really interested to do the recycling, So the dismantling should be, and volume reduction should be the initial stage. In many parts of the country, we may not have a proper recycling facility, so transportation has to be done. So this is some of the outline of ministry's effort so far, and I hope after 1st of April it will be lots of challenges we may face because of the new regulation, and METI will be interested to work with our industry, because our main interest is to promote the electronic industry, of course, in the green means. So that is my last point. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And we have been, you have been already working on ROHS for a very long time.
Yes.
And you have set up in Hyderabad and CMET the thing, that project, which is now, I think, fully online. Would you like to share something about that also?
Yes. Very recently, I have seen some representation also from CMA. They are talking about ROHS, compliance for the SMEs and facility we have created long back when the rules are not there. Actually, ELCINA and I think another organization that time, ELCOM or something, they requested Ministry of Electronics and IT in 2007, way back. So we have created that lab. Raju Goelji is telling, he was there in the PRSG in the implementation of that lab. So we have a state-of-art facility in CMET Hyderabad, and all the 5 different categories of ROHS, the metals like lead, mercury, chromium 6+, and cadmium we test, and also the two different categories of the that is going on, and it is a revenue earning is not that good in that lab. We thought that point of time, Raju Goelji remind me that the ministry was interested to create more lab in the country, but unless we are having an adequate request or sustainability we cannot achieve by this Hyderabad lab, so we cannot go to the other lab. So I think what would be important for ELCINA or other association, the sensitization program may be required, because if you see 106 products, there are many products now will be they are developing or assembled by the MSMEs or SMEs. So sensitization of this subject ROHS and how it had been done and what is the problem if you are not doing it. So this type of sensitization program is important. So ministry can also create another awareness program around ROHS. We tried in I think 5-6 years back, but there was no demand I have found. So that is why we have stepped down. But of course, CMAT Hyderabad locally they are doing regularly. But in the pan-India basis, we should create a awareness or sensitization program specific to the small companies and MSMEs, so that can be developed, and we can financially support also if the industry is coming up certain proposal.
Right, sir. Thank you so much. I understand, because it is not easy to bring industry on board. It is always a challenge, but I think we have to keep trying, and things are moving forward. There is some progress, no doubt.
First of all, there are two things. One is financial support. I do not require much financial support. Sometimes industry should come up with a requirement. If because in my ministry always when we propose certain proposal and all, they said it is there is no demand. You are proactively initiating something, so it will not be success. Sometimes they are right also. I have found proactively you have started many things, but there is no takers. So what from I'll be interested in that you should come out with a requirement for SMEs or MSMEs. We can support, like we have a IPR support program for the MSMEs, SMEs 5 lakhs we are supporting. and 15 lakhs for the international IP filing. So similar way, if we get some real interest, what are the things are required, we can formalize or conceptualize certain project which can be supported by our ministry. We are very proactive in such activity because we want a green electronics. India should come up with a green. Of course, I know there are some big companies. I'm not naming there are smartphone, top 2 or 3 smartphone. I know their circular economy policy. I have access of 15 company specific circular economy policy, and they are all actually they are all having a very robust circular economy policy. So they are all good product or green product, but we do not we have to actually upgrade our MSMEs or SMEs in that fashion. So pretend that. Okay, sir.
Correct. Absolutely right, sir. Thank you so much. That this was very, very useful. And I'm sure that what we are doing, we should continue to do, and we should have the new rules should be implemented effectively. Anand Kumarji, if you permit, then I will now invite Mr. Praveen Bhargav and Mr. Rao to share their views, and in the meantime, the member secretary, Dr. Prashant Gargav, would be joining.
Yes, sir. We can invite Dr. Mr.
Yes.
Bhargav and Mr. Rao.
Yes, yes. So I think, sir, it is very nice, and we really appreciate Mr. Rao and Mr. Bhargav, for joining. I think it is important that we have this opportunity because you are ultimately the experts in this area of recycling e-waste. So I would invite both of you to kindly share your views on what are the implications for recyclers here and how you intend to take care of them. We have about 8 to 10 minutes for this. I would request maybe Mr. Rao to speak first and then Mr. Bhargav. Is that all right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay,
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Rao.
Thank you, Mr. Raju Goelji, and CPCB and all others and ELCINA to come up with this program. The 2011-12 rules that came in for e-waste and 2016 EPR rules that came in, it actually brought in a change in the industry in a very big way. It brought in a lot of opportunity for the recycling community also. However, we did find that it was more targeted towards collection and not towards recycling. Hence, there were a lot of loopholes that existed, which many people did grab that loopholes and try making a fast path there. This particular rules a very, very welcome change. This is a disruptor, I would say. The new rules are being actually looked upon worldwide as one of the best rules that a country can can announce, let it be batteries or plastic or e-waste or solar or anything per se. So, in the e-waste industry, at the end of the day, we as recyclers, we always find this challenge that how do we keep our plant running fully? Because usually it's only 20-30% capacities that's being utilized at any given point of time. And the material coming in which is heterogeneous nature, which is a mixture of plastics and ferrous and non-ferrous and other materials and precious metals and rare earth metals. So the challenge always has been that how do we work on the technology and processes? How do we ensure that we're able to bring in processes for each product category that is there, as well as metals and materials in the e-waste stream? The base metals are the basic ones that's there, which can be extracted. But what happens to the other important precious metals or rare earth metals or the PGMs that's there? The finance schemes in the spec scheme got announced for 5 product categories. The objective here is that there have been a lot of exports that's been happening of the actual rare earth metals or the batteries or the black mass or the PCBs. And those are all very important commodities that the country needs for manufacturing to sustain in a very big way and to be Atmanirbhar. So how do we work on those commodities and give it back to the industry? This particular rule has actually brought in that emphasis that from a buy-sell arrangement between the producer and the recycler, now it's turning more towards a collaborative model. both of them have to work together, no matter what. There will be targets for secondary raw material usage in new product manufacturing. And there are targets for recyclers also that's coming in, and already in batteries it's been announced there. So the idea here is that how do we set standards for the recyclers? Even before the standards, how do you evaluate a recycler? Who is a recycler? We have over 500 plus recyclers. All are recyclers? No. So, and how do we work out the efficiency of the recycler? There will be a lot of investment that will come into this industry, provided the implementation of the rules is 100% or to a large extent successful. If we can do that, there will be a lot of people who will invest, bring in new technologies and processes. It's a capital intensive industry. It's not so, and it's a very, very dynamic industry. Because of the dynamism in electronics, the machines that we make now can become obsolete in 3, 4, 5 years' time because of the change in metals and materials that's coming in. And also for that matter, the standards that needs to be set in for recyclers and the efficiencies there. And along with that, how do we actually, like Dr. Sandeep Chatterjee did say about the micro factories and the clusters that's coming in, it's a perfect opportunity to actually take the industry, the dismantlers and the other players in this particular industry along, because the micro factory concept is going to be the next future. So it's a welcome move. I find there's a lot of opportunities out there and the challenges too. It's not only the challenges for the recyclers or for the government of India or for the implementing agencies, but also for the producers. So it's more of a vendor development for the producers now. And how do we actually closely work with each other and make it a success, as well as giving back the commodities which are rare earths or precious metals or base metals or other metals back to the industry for manufacturing. So I am very confident that this rule will add a lot of value to the country and to the recycling community. And I believe that the recycling community will go all guns in coming out with new processes and investments and ensure and showcase that, yes, it can be done in India, and India would become a capital of actually recycling and refining the rare earth metals and the precious metals that's required for multiple industries in the country. So thank you for that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. That was really very nice. And I think we should work towards becoming, a leader in this area, because many years back, I had the opportunity to go to Umicore. I believe that is one of the largest, recycling, not recycling, but
precious metal recovery.
Smelting, yeah, they do smelting and they, recover, precious metals. So that was quite an experience for me. It was more than 10 years back, 11, 12 years back. It was really unique. So we don't have anything like that in the country, but I think maybe we need to, work towards, developing something like that also, so that we can keep our own wealth within the country and not let it go out. So may I now request Mr. Bhargav to kindly give his views from the point of view of cyclists, please. Thank you.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for inviting me on this good webinar, because e-waste is the problematic area, but there are always a solution for the problem. So first of all, I would highlight that what is the difference between the e-waste rule 2016 and 2022. Basically, in 2016, the material which are defined as a e-waste was more on the consumer electronics. But when we came to 2022 rules, now it involves industrial equipments, medical equipments, laboratory equipment. So it and also included few of the consumer electronics which were not there in earlier notifications. So it's widely covered all type of electronic gadgets which are used by either in-house, in offices, laboratory, medical, hospital, and all. So the challenge which I can foresee from the recycling point of view is that first, the collection of e-waste, which Mr. Rao also highlighted, the collection of these new equipment will be a challenge for us, because to give the awareness to the customer that now this is e-waste and it should be given to recycler, Second thing, what I see is that when we recycle these new equipment, whether this will be commercially viable for recycler to this recycling, because the EPR which comes from the producer is to be giving us a support for recycling of all these new equipments. Then the major other change in this new rule is that now everything from recycler, producer, refurbish, everything will be on the CPCB portal. So the information exchange between the producer, recycler, and refurbisher will be very convenient. I can know that what is the target of particular producer, and similarly, producer can see what is the capacity available to all these recyclers. And one more point is that, which Mr. Rao also highlighted, that there are 400 plus recyclers in the country which are registered with state pollution control boards, out of which there should be a adequacy report mechanism or some technical assessment mechanism should be there, so that we know that who are actually the recycler and who are the dismantler and who is the refurbisher. This is very important, because for the recycler who is putting up new technology, investing much more money, he should know that where he stands, because if he has to compete with all these 400s, it will be very difficult to sustain. However, if technological gradation of the recycler is there, then it will be very convenient for us to survive. And there is certain question regarding this rule, which I think after Anand Kumarji covers their speech, then I can talk on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bhargav. I'm sure there will be some questions that will be there, later on from our participants here. So we look forward to that also. And I think these are some very valid points. We all know that all kinds of new things will happen. There's new equipment, so there could be some new materials also. Increase in the quantity of some new types of materials that will be reaching you for recycling. So all that stuff is going to happen. So, sir, thank you so much for these views, and we also want to continue this engagement for the future. With that, may I now request Shri Anand Kumarji. So, sir, you are the author of this of these rules, and you have been the key driver behind them. So now I think we can hear you. We would like to hear from you, what are the key changes that have happened in these rules, what are the new things that have happened, and after that then we can we have got not two, but we've got actually three experts, three industry experts who are with us, so we will hear their views also. But after you, so first over to you, sir, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Raju Gosab. Actually, I would like to thank ELCINA for immediately supporting us when I call you and we mail you. Then we are really thankful that you have organized this webinar, and through this webinar, we also would like to interact with the industry and to impress upon the various provisions of the rule. But before going into the details of the rule, I would also like to share what is the status of the e-waste management in the country. What was some points in 2016 rules where we have lagged on those rules, what were the issues, and then what are the features of this new rule. The rule 2022 is outcome of circular economy action points, basically. The rule 2022 highlights, it's actually focusing on recovery of material. Presently, under the e-waste, how much material we are able to recover, we are not sure, because we are not able to get those informations. So that was one of the reason for coming out with these amendments. But I will share some presentation also. So I will just share it. Is it visible, sir?
Yes, it is visible.
Yes, it is visible.
So I will take you through. So I will first, I would like to give you what actually I am planned. First slide is on status of e-waste management. Then I'm also informing you on the present regulatory framework, which is 2016 rule, which is going to be superseded by the rule 2022 from 1st of April. Then what was the challenges which has prompted us to bring out these new regulations, and then the salient features of the new rules. So see, if you can see, the rule 2016 was made effective from 1718, and this rule under this rule 21 types of equipment under 2 categories were notified. So we have in this bar chart, we are showing you the generations 2017-18 to 2021-22, but these are the generations from 21 types of notified equipment, not all the kind of e-waste which you can come across. And then in the smaller bar in the brown color, I am showing the what were the collections. So you see, although the target were 30%, then made to 10%, 20%, 30%, 40% and 50%, but the collection was a little less. It started from 9.79% and went up to 32.92% in 21-22. So this also was a challenge to us that we are not able to meet the collection targets. The present framework is 2016 rule, still 2016 rule, although we have only few days left for this rule. But I would like to also give you the salient features. These rules were basically talking about the annual collection target by the producers. Then it was also emphasizing on environmentally sound dismantling and recycling. Then we had guidelines on EP, on storage, collection, transportation, which we used to call implementation guideline, and which was also available on the website of CPCB. The rule has a provision for hazardous substances. It has given limits for the hazardous substances. Those limits, I would like to just briefly go through it. The 6 items were lead, mercury, cadmium, hexavalent chromium, polybrominated biphenyls, and polybrominated diphenyl ethers. The last 2 one was basically flame retardant. So their limits were given, and the producers were asked not to place any equipment having a concentration level in their homogeneous mass more than this. So, but we had we were not able to carry out extensive testing for these limits. We have taken self-declaration from most of the producers. We will be doing it some point of time in the future. Then the rule 16 has also exempted micro enterprises from EPR obligation. Only mind it, only from EPR obligations. And then the CPCB and SPCB were made to monitor the progress of the rule. As on date, we have around 2,300 authorized producers who has obtained authorization from the CPCB under the 2016 rules. The 2016 rule also has a provisions of producer responsibility organizations, which was introduced by an amendment in 2018, and where it was asked, CPCB was asked to provide the registrations to producers. We have made a small simple guideline, and based on these guidelines we were giving registration, but this PRO registration is not there in 2022 rules. So as of now 94 PROs are there. So we will be taking a call on the what will be the fate of these PROs, and we will be coming out with some notices by the beginning of the next month. Then we also have under the 2016 rules, producers were asked to provide their extended producer responsibility plan. This plan was basically where producers were detailing how they wish to collect and channelize their targeted e-waste through their service providers. They used to give the details of their recycler, dismantlers, PROs, their collection centers, So this was the extensive process-based. So 2016 rule, I will call it as a process-based rule, where the process were well defined that you have to make an agreement with the recycler, you have to make an agreement with the dismantler or PRO or service or logistic partners, and then provide these information in your EPR plan. They were also asked to create a website where they will provide all these details. They will detail out their collection centers, their contact points, the toll-free numbers. So all these provisions were there in the 2016 rules. So we found that at present, based on the EPR plan, there are 2,808 collections points across the countries. This slide shows in which state how many collection points are there. But these are all based on the EPR plan of the producers. Then the state boards and pollution control committees were authorized to issue authorization to the dismantlers and recyclers. So they used to authorize dismantler recyclers based on our guidelines. In our implementation guidelines, we have given very comprehensive details on who will, what are the facilities required for dismantler, and what are the facilities required for recycler, and do's and don'ts for these recyclers and dismantlers. And the state boards were asked to implement these guidelines and then issue authorizations. So state boards has given authorization based on those information. Presently, country has 567 number of dismantler recyclers. If you see in the slide, number of dismantlers 359 and number of recyclers 208. State boards were also giving authorization to refurbishers. So those numbers which we have not brought in here. And their total authorized capacity was 17,23,000 tons. But we had some challenges. We found some challenges. First challenge was only 21 items was covered. Then target was collection target. Then we found that there is a small presence of informal sector. There was leakages to informal sectors. And then majority of units were dismantlers. And the major point of leakage were dismantlers. Although for seeking authorization, they have to submit an agreement with the recyclers. But we found out that materials are not going to recyclers. So recyclers were basically starved of the materials. Then what was happening, since majority of materials was going to informal sector, so recyclers were not getting material. Then we had no control on the raw recycled products. So poor quality of secondary raw materials, because there is still we are still not sure what will be the quality after recycling. And then this entire process of EPR authorization was quite complex. You know, EPR plan was itself is quite complex. Many people were not able to prepare a plan. We had to come out with the extensive guidelines on this part. So these were some challenges. So what happened, that the government notified the rule 2022 based on looking at these challenges. And the basic feature of these rules were it will be effective from 1st of April 2023. And then it will replace the 2016 rule. It will supersede the 2016 rules. So all those provisions which were there in the 2016 rules will no longer be applicable. Producers have to abide by the 2022 rules provisions. This rule has basically now number of equipment has gone from 21 to 106. And from the 2 category, it has gone to 7 categories. Now we have equipment under 7 categories: information technology and telecommunication equipment, IT category, where it was only 16 equipment. Now it has gone to 27. Then we have consumer electronics category, where only 5 equipments were there. Now we have 19. Then we have large and small electrical and electronic equipment, having 34 types of equipment. We have electrical and electronic tools, with the exception of large scale stationary industrial tools. So large scale stationary industrial tools have been excluded, and their number is 8. Then toys, leisures and sports equipment have also been covered, and their numbers are 6. Then medical devices have also been covered, with the exception of all implanted and infected products. Their number is 10. Then we have also covered laboratory instrument. although 2 category has been mentioned, but it will encompass large number of subcategories, which will be coming out with the details in a due course of time. Then here, in the 2016 rule, the target was collection, but here now recycling target have been given, and the targets have been made stable for 2 years. Starting from 23-24, the target is 60%. So in 23-24, the recycling target is 60%. Then 24-25, it is again 60%. This is the meaning of this. And then this is a market-based approach. This is a real dynamic thing, and this is new thing. What will happen that we will have a portal where, based on certain information which we will publish and we will inform the recyclers, that recycling certificate will be generated, and this recycling certificate has to be bought by the producers. So the transaction of the transactions between producers and recyclers will happen on the portal. Producers are given EPR obligations, and based on the recycling quantity, EPR certificate will be generated. This EPR certificate generation itself is little based on the end product of the recycling, and where these end products are going, whom it has been sold, based on those information, EPR certificate will be generated. So these are the some features of the new rule. It is ease of doing business, automatic registration through online portal. Our portal will be ready. In fact, we will be making it ready by end of this month. We are already on 24th of March. My target is 28th, 29th. The portal will be ready for use by the producers. At least for the producer, we will start the registration. For recyclers also, we are expecting that registration process will start by mid of April. Then it is very transparent online system for compliance. Then under the 2022 rules, there is no provision for dismantlers and producer responsible organizations. They have not been allowed under the new rules. One of the major or the most important point of this rule 2022 is all the stakeholders has to register on the portal. Means manufacturer, producer, recycler, and refurbisher all has to register. So anybody who is not registered on the portal, their transaction will not be counted. They will not be part of this e-waste management. So this is a very challenging and new thing which has been envisaged under the rule. We are only focusing on recycling, and that's why only recyclers, and then we are also promoting refurbishing. So we are registering recyclers and refurbisher on the portal, and we will be generating recycling certificate as well as refurbishing certificates. And we are promoting refurbishing. Any producer who buys a refurbishing certificate, then his targets will be deferred by the period for which the refurbishing certificate will be valid. And when at the end of the validity period, he only has to do the 75% of his recycling target. So this is the incentivization of refurbishing. At the same time, some relief to producers also. And then we have brought out photovoltaic solar panel under the rules. And the photovoltaic solar panels have hazardous substances beyond the above prescribed limit. So there was an exemption made on 30th of January. See, this is the slide where I am showing the recycling target. See, on the red, in the red, it is the collection target by under the 2016 rule. But if you see, it goes up to 23-24, it is 70% in the 2016 rule, whereas in the 23-24 under the 2022 rule, it is 60% recycling target. It will remain 60% in 24-25. Then it will go to 70% in 25-26, and it will remain 70% in 26-27. And then it will become 80% in 27-28, and it will remain there 80%. So recycling target will remain 80% till there will be a need for revision. Then this will be the process flow. we will have a registration of the 4 stakeholders: manufacturer, producer, recycler, and refurbisher. Then application process, automatic allocation of targets, e-waste collection, refurbishing, recycling, EPR certificate will be generated, and producer has to buy the EPR certificate from the portal, and then for achieving its target. So these are some salient features of the Rule 2022 rules. So with this, I will end my slide. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. That was a very quick update on these rules, which are, I think, everybody will have to go more into the details of the fine print and ensure that they follow.
Yes.
At the outset, I would also like to, inform all participants. I hope they can hear us clearly, that if they have any questions, they can put in the Q&A chat box, in the Q&A box, not the chat box, the Q&A box, so that we will take them up for answering immediately after our industry experts have spoken. So thank you once again, Anand Kumarji. I think that was very useful, very clear, and we will definitely have some more questions for you before we conclude the session.
Yes.
So I would now, like to start off the session on the industry preparedness and industry views on e-waste compliance, and how they've been till now, and what are the implications, particularly of this one, of the 2022 rules, for which we have with us Mr. Ashish Pandey, and who is from Luminous, and we have Mr. Naveen Kumar from Nokia. We are still missing Ms. Ritu Ghosh, who has not joined yet. She's from Panasonic Life Sciences. So I would request that we can maybe keep about 15 minutes for this, and we have got 3 eminent experts, so they can give their views in maybe about 5 minutes each, and then we will go to the Q&A part. So can I hand over to Mr. Ashish Pandey, you sir, first, to please kindly share your views on what is happening, how you are impacted by this, and how the industry is generally impacted by this.
Yeah, and thanks a lot to all the dignitaries, and I have heard very patiently, and a representative from CPCB, Mr. Bhargava, and all, they have narrated the entire issue, I think, very deeply, and also good to see that they are concerned about the industry, but at the same time, it is our responsibility that we roll it out smoothly in the industry and ensure the compliances. So just I'd like to say that on behalf of industry, we are committed to meet the compliance requirements, and we have been doing for a lot of lots. So this is another good step by the government. So we are committed for that. Obviously, there are certain challenges, if you ask me, particularly if you see from the time perspective. Even today, when we go and speak to these stakeholders, like who are manufacturing components for us, they are not even aware what the e-waste management rule says. If we say that we are unable to deal with you because you are not registered, they feel very helpless, and they say that they are a small vendor, MSME, etc. It would be very difficult for them to even to do the registration on the portal, which is quite tech oriented. And if you see, not only from the time perspective and entire stakeholder point of view also, because the rule is very stringent and it covers a wide range of stakeholders, even a vendor who is manufacturing small spare parts, that vendor is also covered. So it is very difficult from that point of view, that how that small vendor would come in the framework, would do the compliances. And then the ripple effect comes to the large manufacturers, because we are dependent on them. If we are taking some components, and for example, if it includes lead or any cadmium into that component, we are dependent on them, because they have to comply with that requirement first. If they do it only, then we can do it. So that is another aspect, sir. And from recycling point of view, Still, I think the readiness is not there. We have spoken to various e-waste recyclers. Still, I think they have a lot of questions in their mind, and they keep asking how it would be done, what would be the calculation, how whether they need to put the details of GST, whether they need to put the details of the source from where they are procuring those e-waste, etc. So these are the another challenges. And so the another thing is that from the industry point of view, also obviously for large companies, it may not be so difficult to absorb the cost, but for small manufacturers, it is going to be a very cost-oriented exercise. If I give you example that ROHS, reduction of hazardous substances, which is a key provision in the Act, and removing the hazardous material or meeting it to the only to the defined level, it is a very cost oriented, and it needs the change not only with the small vendors, even the large manufacturers need to change their assembly lines, because it will be totally different. So, sir, from time perspective, from cost perspective, from the point of view that various stakeholders, particularly small MSME manufacturers and recyclers, etc., they are not very well aware what the e-waste rule is, how it will work, how it is going to affect them. So, and the last piece I would like to touch that from EPR, if you see the one of the requirement is that we have to meet the EPR targets on quarterly basis. And even the most of the stakeholders not registered on the EPR portal. And that is again a very cost-oriented exercise. So I think, sir, from that point of view, if you see the entire ecosystem, including the supply chain, including the knowledge and awareness and education, I think all these requirements should be fulfilled before we come to implementing these rules. These are my primary views on the topic, and also a kind of request, particularly to the CPCB team, that what we can do as a team so that we comply with the rule, but at the same time, it is industry friendly. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashish ji. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for your remarks and comments. I think these are all very, very relevant. I was actually, in the meantime, looking at the Q&A box, which has suddenly filled up. It had nothing, and now we have 23 questions there. So, in fact, even while we are going on with this, I would request maybe, Anand Kumar ji can, look at some of the questions and answer them if it is possible. Because there are quite a few, and if we answer all of them, live online, then it might take a very long time. So Anand Kumar ji, if you can look at the Q&A box, and any of the answers, if you can give, kindly type them out over there. I'll be very grateful. We'll be very grateful.
Shall I read the questions and then answer it?
No, sir, what you can do, you can just go there, and wherever the answers are simple, you can just type them out there itself.
Okay.
So wherever it is a little more, longer explanation, we can take it online.
And one question was that whether any item not falling under Schedule 1, whether that product will be covered. So no, that then the producer of that
so
product will not be covered.
So sir, what I'm requesting is that you can just type the answer over there.
Okay, I will do that. I will do that.
Yeah, and everybody will be able to see that answer.
Okay.
So it will be for the benefit of everybody, and we will not have to verbally ask each question and all that, because that might take too long. So now we have both Ms. Ritu Ghosh and Mr. Naveen Kumar. Rituji, if you don't mind, I will give the first slot to Mr. Naveen Kumar, because he has been with us longer. So we'll just
absolutely. I was struggling to join.
Yeah, do that courtesy. So,
yes.
But of course, it will take only a few minutes. But we would request now Mr. Naveen Kumar from Nokia to kindly share your views.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Raju, for giving this opportunity, and much gratitude to Gratitude to ELCINA for conducting this webinar, very important webinar along with CPCB and the ministry, and putting all the industry also on the same page so that we can share the challenges and the hardships which we are facing. Though it's a welcome step, like the new rules have come in, and Nokia being part of EPR, though we obtained it in 2021 for ITW 1 and 2 categories, and I have seen that there are a few more categories in telecommunication has also been added in these new rules. The only problem which we face with the mammoth documentation and the data which is required for filling up the application. Like last time also, like EPR rules 2016, which we filed in, we had huge documentation in filing and the data collation and uploading it onto the online portal. With the new rules coming in 2022, still we have few challenges and the questions unanswered. Like number one is, it is applicable from 1st of April, but still the portal is not updated. And once the portal is updated, then we'll come to know what are the documentation requirements. Like if there is any requirement of uploading the invoices, then it will be a mammoth task for us because we work on thousands of invoices, which is very difficult to upload onto the portal. So though it is a welcome step, definitely like it is conveyed like this comes directly from the Prime Minister's initiative. And we also feel like if we have to have a company in the from developing phase to the developed country, these type of initiatives are required. And all should join hands, like the CSR activities. We are also have huge budget and we are contributing a lot in various phases and in building up the networks in the very remote and the villages. Likewise, we will be happy to have these targets achieved. But only thing, there are the challenges which I'm talking about, the life cycle of the products, which has been shared recently, the draft life cycle. Suppose for BTS, for telecom equipment, life cycle is 15 years. If we talk about 2023-24 targets, first is we have to calculate 15 years back how much we have sold, and 60% we have to collect it. So it's just like coming in the last edge. And the biggest problem will be when you have to collate 15-year back data, from where it will come. When, as per the taxation rules, you have to collate, you have to archive the data only for last 7 to 8 years. So there will be practical challenges, though the rules are framed, these are announced, and once the portal is up, we'll see how the documentation on what are the data requirement, and as Mr. Anand was saying, like they are targeting to keep the tool up by end of this month, and from 1st of April, if these rules are applicable, how this is practical. So how much time or the leeway they are giving it to the industry so that they can cope up, they can collect their details, and they can do their registration to the online portal. I have spoken to Mr. Anand 2 years back many times, but it's good to see him face to face today. And then now when you'll call him, then it will be a face when we are talking to the person. So it's a definitely welcome step, but what are the challenges, what are the problems faced by the industry that should also be addressed upon so that amicably we can achieve the targets set aside set by the CPCB and the ministry. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Naveen-ji. So basically,
Rajugul sir, one thing I would like to just inform all the participants. Actually, now we are easing out the registration process. We will be only taking the Know Your Customer EKYC, which they are already available on the portal. We will be just adding up more equipment, and then we are only taking the list of the equipment while registering. All sales data and all we will be taking subsequently in the second stage. So for registration, we are making it very simple, sir.
That's great. Welcome step, Mr. Anand. Thank you so much. Thank you.
That is really excellent, sir. I think because one thing which is important for, compliance is to make it easy for everybody to enter the system. And once they are in the system, then they will learn and you can also pursue them. Till they join the system, it's difficult for you also to pursue or to guide them either way. So thank you very much, Anand Kumar ji. Ms. Ritu Ghosh, Ritu ji, now it's over to you to share your views, and maybe you can also, share some views about your supply chain or your value chain and how you expect them to respond, because there are, different issues, with respect to the equipment manufacturers, the brand owners who are more responsible for EPR, because how a component, manufacturer will, ensure that they are able to comply with EPR. That is something very, very complicated, because, a component can go into anything. So it's kind of difficult to understand that process. Please, kindly over to you, Ritu. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Rajuji. Thank you for this opportunity. Really obliged. And I would also want to take this opportunity to thank Anand Kumar ji. He has always been a pillar of support. And every time when we have approached him, he has come up with innovative solutions and suggestions. So moving back to the intent of what these e-waste rules bring on, I would like to just quote that even on sustainability bit, where e-waste play a very, very important role. I think even the UL World Commission definition on sustainability is meeting the needs of present without compromising the ability for future generations and to meet their needs. I think these rules, e-waste rules 2022, are futuristic in nature, which are trying to address and which have an objective to address this very pertinent cause of not compromising the ability for the future generations, making the resources available to them as well. I would like to also quote over here that initially the rules that were being constituted in year 2014, which finally got implemented in full force in 2016. At that point in time, when there was a study done, it was seen that there was 66% of the world's population got covered under national e-waste management laws. And this increase was from 44% in 2014. And eventually in 2017, we saw the increase of the population being covered under this rules. And this was all attributed to when this framework was introduced within India. And I think we are at the cusp of the similar revolution, where this time when the e-waste rules 2022 come with a futuristic approach, the intent is how we strengthen collectively the recycling ecosystem. And from that perspective, all of us, I think the brands, the manufacturers, the component manufacturers, the recyclers welcome this rule with that intent. And also this time, the rules have a unique proposition to digitize the administrative application framework as well, which again, supposedly, I mean, we are sure it will ease out the different operational issues, or maybe not the issues, but operational cycle in terms of time as well. While we welcome these particular rules, as Rajuji also pointed out, now in the entire ecosystem, as we know, the scope has gone as big as 106 items, which means many electronic items, including from small to the big ones, the huge ones like large cooling appliances, and including from small appliances, are under the ambit of these rules. So while there is a mixed feedback that we are seeing, I do understand that all our ELCINA members, they were suppliers to the global value chain as well. So pretty much they have geared themselves up to be ready for this RoHS compliance as well in their RoHS norms. We also have flavors of certain component manufacturers who are gearing themselves to make themselves ready, considering that the supply base for them was probably limited to few of them. And now, once these rules set in, there's a lot of ecosystem enhancement they have to be doing. So that's where we are. And yes, there is a lot of anxiety and curiosity among the members with terms of the different aspects, clarification, the portal being up, the recyclers being visible on those portal, the other aspects of the guidelines being clear. But as I mentioned, at each step, we are getting the support from CPCB, and we wish to see that coming up. And this, what I speak is not from Panasonic, but I speak as an industry. Industry is working collaboratively to make themselves ready in that perspective. And there are many things which we feel and we also see in the rules are enablers in terms of expediting. The rules have eased out many norms, and we are really, really hopeful that once we actually register on the site, that anxiety of the industry will also settle down and mellow down. That's where the industry is looking at with eagerness. And I'm sure as and when we move to a different phase with different kind of teething challenges, we will also collaboratively be able to overcome the same. And as Anand Kumarji mentioned, we have that kind of comfort where the entire process and the documentation for registration, there is a window of 2 months that is available. That is quite a relief, and thank you very much for that. So with that, I conclude my remarks. Thank you for this opportunity. Rajuji, you're on mute.
Sorry, thank you. Actually, all the three companies, I think, have given extremely, valuable inputs. I think it's a process of learning. So, and we cannot discuss everything in one webinar. And there are so many issues. There is always, the fear of the unknown, so to say, because there are new things to be done, and as we go along and we learn new things. So I think with that we have concluded all all the views of all the speakers and experts and all the talks and presentations. So while I thank everybody, I think we need to interact with the participants, and there are a lot, there are a large number of questions which we have. So I think most of them are for Anand Kumarji. Most of them are for Anand Kumarji. So Mr. Dubey and Sandeep, would you kindly take this forward and just kind of to try to answer at least some of the questions, some of the key questions.
What I will suggest that kindly mail me all these questions. We will be providing the answers. Some questions I have already answered.
Okay, because I mean, if you feel that there are some questions which deserve to be answered online, because we still have some time, we have some 10-15 minutes. If you feel that there are any questions which deserve to be answered online, many of the participants are asking for your presentation, which if you allow, we will share that.
We will share that. One thing, micro enterprises are not covered. Micro enterprises are not covered under the rule, so that is very clear.
Okay, so I mean, there is one question which says that we would like to know how EPR certificates are to be generated, especially the meaning of the formula for EPR certificates.
EPR certificate will be generated based on the information from recyclers, how much they have recycled. Means say I will give an example. There is a television, or there is a refrigerator, or there is air conditioner. It has several components, like it has got ferrous and non-ferrous metal. It has got plastics. It has got a printed circuit board. So a recycler, if he is recycling from a AC iron, and he's giving the iron ingot to a foundry, and then he's also producing some copper and aluminium ingot at his facility, and he's also recycling plastic at his facility. Then the quantity recycled and sold will be taken care through their GST and all. And based on that, we will be using a conversion factor, and then portal will generate the certificate for that particular recycler. So, for example, generally, that's why we are asking the industry. We have asked through CMI and through MATE and through CII that to kindly provide us the material composition of your equipments, so that we can arrive on those factors which the rule says. So we are working on that.
Okay, sir. Like for example, there is a question like, is ROHS compulsory for MSME vendors? So I think, ROHS is, it's
The
compulsory for.
MSME is micro, small and medium enterprises, but
No,
micro is only exempted. So small, medium, it will be covered for them.
Obviously. So, there are some very simple questions also, which we can quickly answer. But like one question is, what is the future of dismantlers? Any provision or timeline for them to upgrade
Just
into
give me 2 minutes. I
recycling?
have a call to take. Just a
I think Anand Kumar ji is maybe busy on a call or something. So,
But sir, many people are asking, what is the
we will-
penalty against this rule? What
Pardon,
is the
sir?
penalty? Many people are asking, what is the penalty against this rule?
We have environmental compensation guidelines, but that is only for the 21 types we are working out. There will be, because the rule specifically talks about environmental compensation charges, which will be basically a financial penalty. So those things we will be coming out through on our website and through these kind of webinar. It is still for 21 types of equipment, it is final. It is available on our with us and submitted to the NGT. But for the rest of the equipment, we will be working it out. Mr. Ashish is asking some question. Mr. Ashish, sir.
Thank you for all the insights. Just I have a very basic question, that since you mentioned that micro enterprises are not covered, these rules are not applicable to micro enterprises. If there are certain components which manufacturers or brand owners are taking from these micro enterprises, and ROHS guidelines are not met to those components, then how the large manufacturers or brand owners would be able to meet those compliance requirements?
So prima facie, the answer is that the large manufacturer will not buy from them. But the question is, then how they will sustain?
Yes.
So I am noting this particular scenario. We will also bring it to the notice of the ministry also.
Okay.
I think this is an important point, and it is a nuance, I would say. But basically, what will happen is that those micro enterprises who are, selling directly in the market, or any product which is going from them to the end user directly, I think there they can have the benefit of this rule. If they want to supply to any other company, which is a small, medium or large enterprise, then they will have to follow the rule. Then they will have to be ROHS compliant. That seems to be the obvious answer for that.
It's an extension of the same question. Is one question which has come up, which says the traders are covered under this or not?
Pardon, sir?
Traders are covered under the law or not? So a lot of traders, they supply electronic components to large manufacturers.
So other traders covered. See, the rule has a clear-cut definition of producer. So if those traders are coming under those definition, then they will be covered. If it is not coming, then they are not covered. They have defined it. Just a second, I will sir, just read it. What is the definition of producer? It says producer means any person or entity who manufactures and offers to sell EEE and their component or consumable or part or spares under its own brand, or offers to sell under its own brand assembled electrical electronic equipment and their component or consumable or parts or spares produced by other manufacturers or suppliers, or offers to sell imported electrical and electronic equipment and their components or consumable or parts or spares, or who import used electrical and electronic equipment. So anybody falling under these 4 categories will be called as a producer, and then they will be taking EPR.
So trader will be mainly covered under T3, like offer to sell imported electrical and electronic equipments and their components.
So then they are even presently they are getting EPR authorization. So they will have to, we will be only migrating them to the registration format.
Sir, I think
we have
they will
presently
be covered.
2,300 producers in our portal, and majority of them are these importers only. So we already have 2,300 with us record, and slowly they are already migrating for the 21 type. But now we have additional 85 items, so we will be allowing them also to join soon.
Sir, I think, it doesn't matter whether you are a trader or a manufacturer. If you are selling a product which is manufactured by a small, medium or large company, then I think, you have to follow that. I mean, if you are selling, it is fine, but you still have to be compliant. I mean, the product has to state that it is compliant, or it is coming from, manufacturing unit or a company which can be identified. So is that okay? I think so. There are,
So there are many questions are coming. I think 70 questions already come.
There are 66 questions. Yes.
Yeah. So what I have put to all the participants, then we will compile the answers of these questions and send over email. We'll make an
Yes,
FAQ kind of
yes.
thing out of it. We will
I
do
think
that.
that will be better.
Yes, sir. Because it is
I
not
have a
possible to
point.
answer all the queries today.
Sir, can I ask a question, Anand Kumarji, to you?
Please, sir, please.
Sir, with reference to recyclers, issuing of licenses, validation, evaluation of license capacities, can you throw some light on the norms that you would have devised already, sir?
See, we are working on the guidelines, and since it is still not yet approved by the competent authority, and we are also not shared it with the industry. As of now, first we will share it with the industry, that those norms, and then we will be putting it for the approval. Okay, sir. So, but it will be a mix of the existing one plus some additional features in the guidelines on deciding the capacity. The present capacity is being decided on the said area. We are also bringing in the machine capacity.
Oh, good. Very good.
And the existing rule doesn't talk about authorization. So we will be asking a state board to issue CTE, CTO. Registration will be on the portal based on those CTE.
Sir,
So
few
no authorization
companies-
required henceforth from 1st April 2022-23.
So few companies on strategic electronics, they are asking whether they are exempted from
ROHS.
Yes.
Sir, the rule says micro enterprises are exempted from the provision of these rules. So, but there is a catch here. If the micro enterprises is supplying it to a big producer, and the producer cannot place that equipment if it is non-compliant, so then the producer will not buy it from the micro enterprises. So this is a catch. So, so slowly, everybody has to move towards, compliance of laws. But we have noted down this issue. We will also bring it to the notice of the ministry, how to handle this issue. Because for the additional 85 items, many of the things have been being manufactured, and there was no regulation on ROS. So we also need to evaluate what is the exact position now, whether the technology is available to bring it to this particular level. These things are there. So we will be definitely coming out with certain guidelines for these category of producers or manufacturers, sir.
Sir, one point I have seen here 2-3 times is regarding the certificate, the EPR certificate, which is now being asked for by the customs authorities.
No,
They are saying
custom will only asking for registration, sir. Registration, not EPR certificate. But actually, in the existing rule, it is called EPR authorization. And in the new rule, it will be EPR registration.
Okay, so people are saying that the portal is not updated yet. We are not able to take EPR certificate or whatever EPR
No,
registration.
the portal
certificate.
is functional for 21 types of equipment. We are in a couple of days, 2-3 days. This all your 106 equipment will be start visible. Visibility will be there, and they will start putting up their paper.
Okay, so that answers several questions. So if it is okay, sir, then the rest of the questions we can take.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We can take and then we can send, maybe we can send the reply. ELCINA can do that. We can send the replies to all the question in one email and send it to all the participants.
Yes, we can do that, because there are 76 questions some I have answered, but still it will increase slowly. It's good that we are getting so much of question answers.
Yes, yes.
We'll be able to.
I mean, some of them are very simple, but they have got obvious answers like, one gentleman, Mr. Prashant Nayak, is saying, as an EMS for manufacturing PCBA, do we need to register for EPR? So I think this EPR is a major issue where people.
No, actually, see, only producers required EPR obligation. Manufacturers has to register to inform that what they are manufacturing and what is the quantity and whom they are supplying, so that we can have a flow chain, material flow chain available with us. For overall management of electronic waste, we need to have these information which were not there earlier, readily available with us.
Okay.
That's why we are capturing manufacturers.
I think we already spoke about the penalty against this rule.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, sir, if it is all right, then we can, thank everybody for their participation.
Yes.
And all the other questions, there are questions and there are more coming. I can see even now there are more questions coming. Now it is showing
any way to store these questions?
Yes, sir. All these questions will be saved on our Zoom account.
Yeah, so kindly save it, and then we will discuss it, and then we will provide the answers, because it is very important that each and every participant should get the answers and the queries are answered and the clarification given.
Absolutely.
So this we will be doing it. So I will request that kindly forward whatever is there. I will ask my team to answer it, and we will forward to ELCINA. Okay, sir.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much. We'll do that.
If the questions are very important, I will suggest if they can be put into frequently asked questions, so that the whole industry can
take
that.
Yes. We'll make the
definitely, sir. It's a very good suggestion, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Right, sir. So one thing is that we could actually, there was a proposal from our side that maybe we could have, a small committee which could, periodically answer these questions, and maybe this committee could be active for next 6 months or so. So every 2 weeks or maybe every 4 weeks, we could look at all the queries coming from the industry, and, the committee could meet, and the committee could have some industry members and some members from CPCB. So that was one, suggestion from our side. And
it's fine. We will be happy to join your committee.
And with that, I will request Mr. MP Dubey, who has been actually working quite hard on this webinar, and I would request him to kindly thank everybody and give the vote of thanks. Dubey, over to you. If you can, kindly give your short vote of thanks to everybody for their participation, and especially to our speakers from CPCB and from the industry.
Thank you from all the speakers. They put a lot of effort, and this is one of the subject which is all industries are asking us, and I'm really very thankful with the ELCINA president, Sri Sanjay Agarwal, for his talk on the.
Your voice is not clear, Dubeji. Okay, no problem. We accept the vote of thanks, sir. I think everybody would like to conclude now. Any closing remarks from anybody? We would be welcome. I think there is some internet connection problem at our end. It is saying internet connection
On
unstable.
the side, let me thank you, ELCINA, and all the dignitaries, Anand Kumarji and CPCB team. I think the session was very insightful, and it has given answers to many of the questions. Obviously, it is a journey till it is implemented fully. There will be questions and answers. So thank you very much, ELCINA team, as well as the CPCB members and all the speakers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you to all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Namaskar, namaskar.
There are questions coming even now.
96 it is there, sir. So sir, we will compile, we will help you in answering this question, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir, most of them actually, most of them are very simple. So they have yes and no type of answers. Or, they can be answered in a few words only. But there are some which might need a little more effort. So I think that we can put in. So Yogesh will be
And
able
some
to
question will be also put in the FAQ.
Yes, sir. What we can do, we can just classify, because there may be repetition of the question.
Yes,
So we can
yes.
put them.
We can. So
We
there
can
are
plug
around
them.
100 questions.
There's an echo.
Yeah.
Echo.
So I will be sending those questions to CPCB and request them to answer those questions. Then we'll compile in a document, and the document we can send to every participant. We have about 130 participants today.
Okay, sir. Then thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anand.
sir.
Kumarji.
Namaskar.
Really
Namaskar.
grateful. Very
Namaskar.
very
Thank you so much.
useful, and lot of good participation. More than
Yes, sir.
140.
Very good.
So, sir, if we can get the list of participants and all, then we will also place in our information record.
Yes.
We'll do it.
Okay.
Okay.
We can send that. No problem.
Okay.
We have that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
very
Dr.
much.
Chatterjee.
Dr. Chatterjee is still not logged out.
So should I close the webinar?
Dr. Vidhu. Yep.
I'm closing the webinar now.
Yeah.